Hey everybody, how you doing? Okay, Saturday morning's outdoors, and this is the beginning of March, and this time of year we're getting out of ice fishing and almost into open water. Maybe. It's been a cold winter this winter, but this episode we're going to talk about the Cape Cod Canal and how understanding the tides affect your fishing, which is probably the number one. The migration and the tides are the number one understanding that you should have to catching fish regularly at the canal. So stay tuned and let's talk about the canal and striped bass. It's good old summertime. Let's go. This is the time of the year. Usually trout season and open water fishing comes first, and fresh water. And a lot of the salt guys probably go to the cold water fishing, cod and so forth like that. But then we segue into watching the herring runs, the herrings approach, and of course behind the herrings are the striped bass that we wait for, the summertime glory fish. And so understanding the tides is not really that intimidating. I was personally intimidated as a kid at first because the canal it's a canal, and on a beach, regular tide comes in and goes out, comes in and goes out 4 times a day because of the moon and the sun. And but the canal is different. It's coming in, looking at the map. This is the west end of the canal, and this is the east side. This is Cape Cod Bay over here. This is east, this is west. And the canal flows this way and flows this way through the canal, and it still goes up and down. So if you're looking at the relationship, the tides in the canal, it still goes up and down, but it's going to flow either to the right, or from the right to the left, or the west to the east, or the east to the west. All right, it's not coming straight in and straight out. It's going to go that way and that way, but up and down. Mandatory in planning your trips is the Cape Cod Canal tide tables. And this is 2025. This is 2026, but I'm using this as an example. And this is very valuable because it just lays it all out for you. The Army Corps of Engineers have shown us, and precisely as much as NOAA can give us, the precise times of the tides in the canal. It's mainly supposed to be used for navigation, but us fishermen, we'll take it. So you need one of these, or they have these online too. You can get them. So looking at the canal chart from the Army Corps of Engineers, you can see there's different locations along the canal, and Railroad Bridge, Piney Point, Railroad Bridge, Sandwich, and so forth and so on. They're naming different, it's 7 miles long, the canal, so they're giving you these locations, and then the times. High tide, AM and PM, low tide, AM and PM. There's 4 tides in 24 hours, roughly. It goes up, down, every day, every week, every month, every year, every century, so far, unless we break something, but we haven't done that so far. In this column, you can see east and west. So looking on the map, this is east and this is west. So it says current turns east or current turns west, and then it'll give you time. All right, and that's pretty much all that you really have to see. You pick out which direction you want to go. A basic knowledge, the key to everything that really blew my mind when I first found this and everything clicked into place. Any tide that's running east, it says turns east, that you see on this chart. See, turns east, wherever you're at. It's going to show you, right? Turns east or turns west. When it turns east, that's going to be dead low tide wherever you're at in the canal. It's going to be as low as it can get. East, when it turns east, it's going to be low tide, and it's going to start to flow through, and the tide's going to come up. The tide's going to be going this way in an easterly direction, and the tide's going to be coming up. When the tide, it says tide turns west, the tide's going to go this direction from Cape Cod Bay out into Buzzards Bay. and it's going to be dropping down. So you pick what you like. You like the tide coming up, or do you like the tide going down? Throughout the centuries that I've been fishing there, my favorite is, I like the east tides, from when the tide is at dead low and going up. But of course, I'm going to fish whenever I have the time. And that's how you should plan it, whenever you have the time. And then you can figure out on the tide shot what's going to be happening when you get there. Now, how does this all... Now, let's talk about striped bass. They migrate. They migrate in the fall down south because they're following the bait. They are forced to. That's why any living creature, I believe, migrates. They're following their food source. They're forced to. That's how God made them. So they feed on the fish, smaller fish and creatures, and the smaller fish feed on little smaller critters all the way down to plankton. And that plankton and the very small critters that the fish feed on is temperature sensitive. Once the water reaches a certain point, they're forced to move south to be in the correct temperature zone for them to survive. So all the way up the chain, the food has to follow it for most fish. Not all fish, but most fish. Stripers has to be in that category. In the fall, they migrate down south to around Chesapeake Bay. And that's the area, that's one of the major areas. They also stay along the coast, but that's the major area for the sake of this conversation. And then in the spring, they follow the bait back up. The bait's following their food source right on up the line, and they'll come back up here. So fall, they migrate down south. Spring, they come back up north. And they're in the most comfortable zone that they love to live in. Now, in the spring migration, as they return north, remember, this is Buzzards Bay. South is this way, all right? Look at the map. South is in this direction. North is in this direction. South is in this direction. North is in this direction. And this is east and this is west. So the stripers in the spring will be coming up in this direction from the south. And because of the hook on the Cape, the formation of Cape Cod, rather than go all the way around the loop of Cape Cod, they cut through the canal. And that's what makes this a world-class fishing spot that I show you every year, how great and magnificent the fishing is here. So in the spring, they come up from the south, cut through the canal, and then head north. And the migration usually starts around April-ish. And if you're fishing anywhere along our area, you're probably just going to get schoolies. The big bulk where the big guys are, it takes a while for them to get up here. They're called biomasses, and they move in giant biomasses, and they're grooving up along here, and June-ish is around, they really start to filter in. And I find my personal experience, and this is took me a lot of years to learn this, but the end of June and early July, everyone says June, the moon in June and all that, but the end of June, early July, that is probably for the Cape Cod Canal, the cow season. And that's, if you watch my videos, you see I have the killer days where I'm catching non-stop fish in there. It's always in mid to June to mid-July. They're there all summer long. They're there every day. But the majority of them, and the easiest time to catch them, will be at that time. So remember, they're coming up from the south, they're cutting through the canal, and then they're heading north in the spring. Then conversely, in the fall, it's the same thing. They come from the north, they cut through the canal from east to west, and then they head south. So how does this help us with tides? How does that correlate with tides? Well, if the majority of fish are coming up and they're heading in the spring east, up and east in the spring, you want to fish tides with the water that's flowing east, because the fish, naturally, they're going to expend the most amount of energy, the least amount of energy with by swimming with the tides. They will, of course, also swim against the current when the tide's going west, but they move during the east tides heading north. So it makes total sense. Pick east tides if you're able to fish the canal in the spring and summer. They're heading north, so they're swimming with them. The bulk of them, you can catch them 24 hours a day, but the bulk of them, you're going to see those big blitzes and moves, giant schools of them coming through on those tides. Now, let's talk moons, one of my favorite. When the moon gets fuller and the moon dies, completely gone, it happens full moon, new moon, full moon, new moon. You can see the full light of the moon, and then it wanes, and then it builds back up again. It's a cycle. It's been going on forever. But the full moon and the new moon create extremely heavy currents in the canal, as the ocean, anywhere. And once again, the stripers want to move along easily. There's two huge factors. They want to move along with that current to get where they're going. That moon current is going to be faster than 2 weeks ago in the quarter moon current, if you're following what I'm saying. And with that full moon current, not only that, but this point two is it disorientates all the bay fish along the way. There's rips, boulders, there's all kind of obstructions, and the bay fish are just befuddled. They can't control the current. So the stripers know this. They get behind rocks, just like in a trout stream. They get behind rocks to expend the least amount of energy, and they dash out right and left. They get in a hole, same thing. But the moons, they're feeding more, and they're traveling faster. Key points in understanding how the tides are going to work. The most powerful tides are in the full moon and the new moons each month, and that's where the tide charts come in. So look at, this is how cool these tide tables are. Look on the back, and they're showing you, because they're using this astronomical data for nautical. You go out on a heavy current day, or you go out on a slower day, and you can figure it out. So anyway, it's telling you that is going to be the full moon, and that's going to be the new moon, and it shows you the date. January 29th is the new moon. January 13th is the full moon. Let's go with our good July. July 10th is the full moon, and July 24th is the new moon. Those are going to be the highest current days. Those are magic days. And believe me, it's not witchcraft. It's not hearsay. Those are the days, or any month that it happens in. And for that matter, in freshwater fishing too. That's what all these fishing charts, and they offer. It's all the moon. That's all you got to need to know is about the moon. All right. So now, knowing where the full moon and the new moons were, see what I did here? Just transfer it. Full moon, new moon, July. That's all. I just put an F and an N there, right? And that tells me when those. So if I'm going to fish within 3 days, that's how we figure. 3 days, it's a generalization. Either to the right or the left of the full moon and the new moon, the current is going to be cranking and the fishing is going to be better. That's all. That's written in stone. That's how it is. Those are that's magical. Full moon, new moon. And do it for every month. All right? Now, one of the peculiarities about the Cape Cod Canal that we fishermen have discovered is that at the lowest tides of the month, which is called the new moon, now picture in your mind the water in the canal is going to be at its lowest at low tide. That hour that it starts to go low, gets low, stays low, about a 20-minute slot or a half-hour slot, and then starts to rise. There's less water in the canal. You can cast further, and the fish know there's less water in the canal. There's more rocks exposed, and they kill fish. That's called a break. Well, no, it's not called a breaking tide yet. That's how they feed at low tide, at a normal low tide, or at the most lowest tides of the month. Now, when that type of tide coincides with either early dawn or late dusk, that's called a breaking tide. So not only are they going to start feeding, it's a natural thing in saltwater and freshwater for all animals either to move or to feed in dawn and dusk. They've been sleeping all night or resting all night, and now they notice the sun's coming up now, and they don't want to be a predator. They don't want to be prey to something that's a predator, so they basically stay hidden or sleeping, whatever, resting, although fish do feed all night. But the basic idea, if you're a bait, that's how it goes. But once the sun starts coming up, you become prey again. And the predators start moving around. And that's why in saltwater and freshwater, early morning and late, the magic hour it's called, that's when the fishing is the best. So if you put this key component together, you got that low tide, early in the morning, right as before the sun comes up. And for about an hour, the fish go nuts. That is probably the prime time to fish the Cape Cod Canal. And if you can match that up in the height of the fishing season, I'm giving you real secrets here. This is the real deal. And that those times are the optimum time that really is true. This is not hearsay. This is not a formula. This is how it works. All right. So breaking tides either in the morning or in the evening. And then you're going to fish the way the fish are going. The current's going to be flowing east. So you want to fish the east tides in the spring and the west tides in the fall because they're going to be coming down this way. But the breaking tides still hang true. Now see what I did here again? So I got the full moon, right? It's on a Thursday. And then Friday, the sun's coming up. This is July at 4:38. Bingo, breaking tide. So breaking tide, full moon. And I've done it with everything. New moon, 4:30 a.m. Breaking tide. So when it's currents east, these are all it's going to be at the lowest. Wherever that full moon falls in, right? Those are breaking tides. So go through the chart and just mark them through. Take an hour or two. Look over everything in the early spring, and it's great relief. Get your mind off how much the winter sucks. And set up your chart. And then at a glance, the day before you go fishing, just look in here and you can see it's all set up. But that's the key. That is pretty much the key to understanding the tides in the Cape Cod Canal. The moon and the sun is everything. So with that fundamental knowledge, when I put those together, that was a revelation, and I started catching fish regularly. You can catch fish your first day there, but you catch fish regularly and more fish, a lot of fish. Those are the key components to fishing the Cape Cod Canal and other areas, I'm sure, along the coast. It's all about the moon and the sun and how the current affects the bait and how that affects the fish. I really hope that I broke that down in simple enough terms, because I always wanted to know about the tides in the Cape Cod Canal. I relatively understood them surf fishing on the beach. That's where I started, on just beaches. But the canal, it's a special place. And once I put that together, I started catching fish. These are really the components that you need to know about being consistent at the canal and catching the giant fish. It's a world-class spot, and just from watching this show. So I hope this has helped you out, man. And we're all getting ready for the herring runs coming up and all the warm weather fishing. It's going to be a wonderful year this year, I hope. And I wish it was all tight lines. So my name is Paul K. I hope you like this episode. Tune in every week. There's always something going, hunting and fishing, or hunting or fishing, or something to do on that line. And please like and smash that subscribe button. And we'll see you next week, boys. Take it easy. See ya.